Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I bring you the post-Thanksgiving edition of the Richie and Hazz Show. I'm Brent Hazard, joined by Richard Schwartz. Richie!
I think we're still a bunch of turkeys, though.
You've been saving that one for a while.
That's right.
You wrote that somewhere, and then you were like, this will be good, and you tested it, and then it still sucked. But anyway, we're joined today by my Greenvillian brother.
Thank you, Mr. Hazard, for having me here.
Brandon Dorsey. Brandon, tell people a little bit about yourself. You graduated from Greenville High.
Greenville High.
Born
in Greenville.
Raised
in Greenville.
There you go. And take it from there, sir.
Finished high school in 1991. Went to undergraduate school at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Wait. There was a reason you went to the University of Pine Bluff, was there not, sir?
True. Well, it's a long, complicated story, but I'll give you the quick one. So when I graduated from high school, my parents bought me a car, a Hyundai Excel. And my father told me, well, you can't take that car with you to Hampton, Virginia, because that's where I was going to school. I said, but Dad, and I said, no, I can't do that now. And he said, well, where do you want to go? I said, well, I go to University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which is where my mother and my sister went. And so I went over there, and I had a very good experience there. I met a lot of people. It was a good opportunity for me.
I thought there was a football involved in this story.
Well, I was a football player.
You were a bad man in the day.
High, and the year before I went to UAPB, Archie Cooley was the coach, and they had a few problems that year. And the next year, the program was on probation. But when we arrived, we were able to work out in anticipation for the next year. Well, after the Christmas break, the chancellor came in and said, guys, I know y'all working hard, but the university won't have the ability to fund the program next year. So it's going to be another year before you start playing. And so I figured that I wasn't going pro, and it'd probably just be best for me just to be a full-time student. So.
And if anybody wants to retain your fine legal services,
they can contact me at 601-969-6960.
Now that the niceness is out, I'm about to pound him into the ground. But now, Richie, we're just going to do an hour sports. One, this is coming off of Thanksgiving, so it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
But I want to here, Brandon, let me go ahead and ask this: the Egg Bowl. Mm-hmm. Was yesterday.
Correct.
And Ole Miss won.
Correct.
Now, I would say in my life, that's the biggest college game, but you went to a HBCU.
Correct.
What would you say was the biggest college game in Mississippi for you, sir?
The biggest college game in Mississippi for me would have been the Jackson State Alcorn game.
Okay.
Growing up from Greenville, many of my teachers went to Jackson State, Valley, Alcorn. My father went to Jackson State. And so that weekend was like a big weekend for people in Greenville. When I was growing up in Greenville, coming to Jackson was a big deal. I mean, if you had come to a football game, you was a big person. And don't have come to a football game and spent the night and went to the Metro Mall, you were really a big person. So that game was always a big deal. And even now, I'm 46 years old. It's still a big game. Many of my friends come down for the game. Unfortunately, we didn't have it this past year, but that is the biggest game for me.
Now, Richie, growing up, now you went to Millsaps and then went to law school at Ole Miss. When I say the biggest game in Mississippi, college.
It's definitely the Egg Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has that always been the way growing up for you?
Yeah, that's always the big. And you know, I grew up supporting all Mississippi teams. I still support them until they play each other. I do.
Okay. You pay for advertising.
I do for Southern Mississippi, Jackson State,
yes,
and Mississippi State, and Ole Miss.
Okay. I'm just. I know.
Let me tell you, I think State's got the right coach. They're very impressive. Last two games they've played have been very impressive. Their quarterback, true freshman, very impressive.
450 yards and you lose. Did you watch the game, Mr. Dorsey?
I did not watch the game. I watched the other game that was played in the other state.
Alabama Auburn.
The Iron Bowl.
I did.
You watched the revenge of Nick Saban. We'll get to that because we're going. Besides being a great litigator, when Brandon and I have gone against each other for about 1,000 times. He was a public defender in youth court, and I was a prosecutor. I would look over at Brandon, and he would be diagramming plays, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?" Oh, working on my my spread option. So I'm like, "Are you coaching your son?" No. But anyway, okay. Ole Miss. You did you go to the game?
Yeah, I went there.
Oh, okay. How was it?
It didn't rain, which I thought, and it was a good crowd considering
Now
the
you
COVID.
went to did you go to Oxford or did you go to the stands?
I went to. What do you mean?
I mean, some people go to Oxford and kind of hang out, but they don't.
Yeah,
go to the game.
there's no tailgating anymore.
Why
but
not?
I actually went to the game.
Okay, went to the game.
Yeah, and it was a little cool, but it was
Okay.
nice, and it was a great game. It could have gone either way.
But back to what you're saying about the freshman quarterback. That kid was 18 years. I mean, he was playing high school football.
And he was unbelievable.
And
and the receivers were unbelievable for state.
Number 31. I mean, if you tell me they're going to have 450 yards in the air,
Yeah.
I would say State was going to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so would you trade? Okay, Ole Miss won. We're 4-4.
Right.
Now, Brandon, I don't know if you saw this. The SEC called Ole Miss. When did they call Ole Miss? We were supposed to play LSU next week.
Yeah.
And the SEC called Ole Miss and said, CBS needs that Alabama LSU game, so y'all just go home. We'll call you later.
Yeah.
Even though it was on the schedule, we appreciate you being.
And State also was supposed to play Missouri next, and that's been delayed.
Yeah, that's been delayed.
Yeah.
In their mind, I think they're going to have those games during the championship
That's
game.
right. The last game will be during the championship
Yeah,
game.
that's why everybody else, they're like, depending on who you root for, there's some conspiracy theories that the SEC's office are in Birmingham. And that whenever there's a close call, or they're going to take care of them boys in red. Of course, that's the money.
They're the money team, no doubt.
They're the money team. Okay.
They're the money team.
So right now, if I gave you a free switch from Ole Miss, and we could switch coaches, Kiffin for Leach, would you do it?
Whoa. I think Leach is the better coach.
Would you switch them?
It's too late to do that.
I'm giving you a magical touch.
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay, I'm sticking to the villain. Did you see him get off the bus? You didn't see him get off?
I did not.
He got off the bus in a AJ Brown jersey and a backpack, and he was trolling. AJ Brown sent him the jersey, but he was trolling. Someone had called him. He's the perfect coach for Ole Miss, or he fits in. So he dressed up like an Ole Miss student going to the game. You didn't see that?
I didn't watch it on TV.
Kiffin kills social media. Kiffin's always trolling somebody. I think he's become a lot better coach when he's gotten real comfortable with making fun of himself and being that. But he did not dress up. He wore a backpack and got off the bus and had a good. It was a great game. I'm excited for both programs.
They're both looking good.
Let's go to should we be playing college football during this surge in COVID cases, Mr. Dorsey?
I think if it's done so responsibly, then yes.
Okay, Richie.
I said initially no.
Okay.
But it actually has turned out okay in the sense that they're very careful in closing games down if there's a COVID outbreak of any kind.
How many people were in the stadium? Did you?
They only 25% capacity, and that was
15,000 amount.
16,000.
Okay, so you would play it out and just go as we're call it as it is, because I think was it the Pac-12 yesterday had a cancel. No, Florida State canceled their game again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then some other schools had they canceled any more? I know there was something in the Big Ten. The weird thing about it is there's a surge in the Northeast and California. That's what I'm talking about. San Francisco has a local rule where you can't play any contact sports, and they're saying the 49ers and Stanford might not be able to practice. They might have to move.
Wow.
And when you're trying to compete with other regions in the area, I don't know if we need to be. The college is not so bad. Denver, and this is going to pros a little bit. Now, who's your pro team?
The Saints.
We'll take that. Steeler fan, 49ers fan.
And Saints. I like the Saints too. They're my two favorite. And the Raiders, number 3.
You just like everybody, don't you?
No. I hate Pittsburgh.
That's not even funny. I don't even know why you like. Are you saying that because I'm a Steeler fan, or do you really hate?
No,
them?
I really hate them.
Why do you hate? Because they won too much.
Yeah, I hated them.
I'm a bandwagon jumper from the 70s. There's no doubt. But should we be playing games? Denver doesn't have a quarterback. They had to go sign or use one of their wideouts.
He's a wideout.
He was a wideout from Wake Forest. He played quarterback, an option quarterback. They first tried to get their offensive coordinator signed, who had played football in 2012, and they tried to get a waiver so he could come in and be quarterback, and the NFL rejected it because he'd been an offensive coordinator for 2 years, but I guess he's probably early 40s. But he played 2012, but they were going to use him. I guess he probably throws the ball in practice, and they said no. So, which I think I would have loved to seen. But now you can't have a pro game. I mean, right now with Baltimore, and I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm not a big Ravens fan, but everybody the Ravens has COVID. You can't play that game.
That's right.
So should we just? And now it's money. It's pure, and I guess
that's no question. That's what it's about.
Well, I'm okay with that with the NFL, I guess, because those guys are making decisions. And I'm waiting for the union to come out and say, "Oh, hell no!" Mm-hmm. But there's no union in college, so should we be subjecting these kids?
There's still money. I mean, the school.
No, it's money, but I mean, they're not getting any. The pros are making a business decision; they could opt out,
right?
And I guess, did the colleges have an opportunity to opt out? They did they not?
No.
There was some. There was
yeah, you're right. They can opt out.
The Ole Miss center opted out because he had some issues.
LSU's best receiver, just opted out.
Well, some of that, they're just looking around like going, and Colin Hill for state, he opted out for the draft.
Right. Yeah.
He got hurt. And I can understand during this season if it sucks and you don't know, if the season ended today, is Ole Miss going to a bowl game?
I'd say yes.
Would you go?
No. It'd be too cold, and I'll watch it on television.
See, that's where I am. Now, do you go to games? Now, your son, I had a conversation about him the other day, who's a fine young man, engineering. At Louisiana Tech.
Correct.
What engineering?
He's in mechanical engineering.
Has he been going to any game? I mean, Louisiana Tech is not a huge football program, but they have a good team. Yeah.
He's told me that he's going to one game.
Okay.
He said the tailgating situation is 0. He said he sat in the far corner, but many people didn't social distance. But he and his friends, they did.
Okay. So, are you nervous about having a child in college at this point?
I am for a number of reasons. BJ, he's my oldest. He doesn't have any health issues, but my middle daughter, she does have health issues. She's a sickle cell patient. She's a student at University of Southern Mississippi. She's a freshman. She's a nursing student. And so when this pandemic hit, one of the biggest decisions my wife and I had to make was whether or not to allow her to go. So we talked with her doctors here at Batson. We talked with her professors down at Southern Miss, and her doctors assured us that if she practices good hygiene, practice social distance, she should be okay. Fortunately, she hasn't had any episodes since she's been down there. But it was a big decision for us to make because here we are concerned about the health and safety of our child, but also children need to be able to experience college. And so my decision was if something happens, she gets sick, I can get down there and pick her up and bring her back to Jackson.
Daddy can drive.
Yeah. So, but fortunately, she's been okay.
Now, what was her input?
Of course, her input is that she wants to go.
Freshman year, did y'all have any conversations about? I've seen there's a national surge, and I'm not paying $60,000 to go to Harvard, or I'm not paying $60,000 to go to this school when I'm going to be at home on Zoom. Did y'all have any conversations of them taking a year off, especially with underlying health conditions, or working a year?
The decision was if she did not go, she would just do her classes on Zoom.
Okay.
I mean, never to take a year off was never an option. The two options were: do you attend school, traditionally, or do you attend school at home through Zoom?
Now, Richie, you have your youngest daughter still in school.
I do.
Now, well, actually, your third daughter just graduated nursing.
That's right.
And is she going? I know she's pregnant, so I know
she's got to take the exam.
Oh yeah. But had she decided on any postgraduate?
No, she's not. She's going to work. Going to go to work
after she has her third. The
fourth
grandchild.
Yeah. I'm only 21. I don't know how that's possible.
You're stacking them up. Did you have any conversations with either child about? Of course, I mean, your third child, Jacqueline, she was working at the hospital or working.
Yeah, she
as a nurse.
Wore a lot of protective gear, and we had that discussion. And my youngest, I had the discussion with her, but the reality is, I'm not sure what she's doing.
His youngest is hell on wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a great student, but
she's
no one's
telling
Hannah what to do.
No, sir.
She makes up her mind. She's got a plan. She's sticking to the plan, and then God help everybody else.
Yes, right.
But she's going to be the one to inherit the firm. But okay, so
smart lady.
Should we start basketball?
My concern about basketball is that it's inside.
Okay.
It's not outside. People in too close of proximity with one another. I just think basketball creates a more problematic dynamic. Again, I think if it's done so responsibly, it's possible. But the question is, what's considered responsible? Is it just the athletes and the coaches? Is it just the athletes and the parents who come and attend? It just creates a lot of different dynamics that you just don't have in football.
Richie?
I think the problem with basketball is simply they have less players than football. And if COVID were to hit, they can't play any games for 14 days or maybe longer. And so I think scheduling is a nightmare and going to be a nightmare in college basketball. And so the fans coming in, they're going to limit it to such a small amount and be so separated. I'm not too worried about the fans as much. But I think the basketball teams are going to have problems, and you think football was a bad scheduling. This one's going to be horrible. Do I think they should play? Yes, on the same format that they're doing football. I think it's worked out well in football. But I think technically it's going to be almost impossible to play all your games.
See, this is my position. I don't know where it is. Subconsciously, at some level, I'm very paranoid about getting it during this surge, and the fact, in my opinion, we've got about 60 to 90 days for it to start to phase out. The vaccines will start hitting the frontline workers and the
military.
Is it military?
Yeah,
or the
military
people,
gets
elderly.
First.
I thought
military.
See, I wouldn't go military first. I'd go elderly. Because I think the military would be in shape.
Yeah, but the military is supposedly defending our rights, so they should be the ones. You don't want COVID to be
wiping out. Okay, yeah. I can see that. But okay, but to me, if we get past, we're sitting here on top of December 1st. If we get past February, weather's going to start warming up. We're going to have. I'll be looking at taking the vaccine then because it'll probably be made available to me. But I want a good run. I want to see what's out there.
Let's see what it turns people into before we.
Well, I mean, it's not like they're coming up with something new. This is a derivative off the SARS virus. So I mean, I think it's safe. But I would like a good run. But people who have underlying health conditions need to get the first. They don't need to be giving it to me. But yes, I just don't want to get it in like February 15th and find out I'm genetically deficient and that I'm on the ICU when But this is the maddening part for me. We shut down the state for 300 cases a day. We're around 1,500, 1,200 a day now, and no one's talking about shutting anything down. That's what I guess my concern is, if we could take just a break on some of these events for maybe 60 days. I know you can't stop college playoffs, the football college playoffs, but it just seems like if we can get through February, of course, up north their winters are longer, but I think if we get to spring break here, we're good. Mm-hmm. And, we can start going out. Do you think, I hear a lot of these arguments, Richie, where people say we're not going to go back to movie theaters, we're not going to travel. Do you believe that?
I think the world has changed. I think most people aren't going back to offices. They're going to be working from home. I think people who own office buildings and those type of things, I think they're in real serious financial trouble because people aren't going to be going. People don't go to stores now to shop. Did you see that report where it's the worst Black Friday ever for stores?
Of course, but I mean, one, traditionally, some people, and I mean, I really got into Amazon with the pandemic. I was an Amazon guy. You an Amazon guy? I've gotten into Amazon. One, and it might be subconscious. I'll be good in the store, and then you get to the checkout line. And then, it's no one's fault. You're kind of looking around, and then someone's kind of bumping into you, and you don't know whether to elbow them or, you don't want to end up on YouTube screaming and cussing somebody out. But then, and then can't the people who wear the mask right here or here,
yeah,
would you please leave my building? That gets me so. Why put it on your face if you don't?
It makes some people look better.
You're looking at me when you say that.
I was.
But anyway, yes, I've gotten into Amazon. I appreciate them having it here. I've tried to order for some other companies, like I've ordered from Best Buy. Mm-hmm. Best Buy will take forever to get something delivered. Amazon's there in like 3 days. And I mean, now, were you Amazon before?
I've never ordered anything on Amazon.
Never. Have you ever?
I've never ordered anything on Amazon.
This is why Mississippi sucks. I mean, at least go order a stick of gum today, but like toilet paper. I bumped up because I think we're in for another really rough ride. And then paper towels. I got tons of paper towels back there, hand sanitizers. But yeah, Amazon for your basic stuff, you don't want to get out. Oh, it's great. And I mean, are you doing any Zoom? You do more Zoom socially.
I've done some Zoom stuff, yeah.
Are you comfortable with it? I've done like 2 and I hate it.
In comfortable which way? I mean, is it being hacked by the Chinese?
No,
probably.
It's not TikTok. But
Zoom is probably hacked by the Chinese.
Everybody's gonna know.
No, it's a Chinese. It's American Chinese company mix, and the federal government has warned you about Zoom.
I thought it was TikTok.
No, it's Zoom. TikTok also, but Zoom as well.
Are you Zooming in your practice or
I am.
anything?
I am.
Okay. How have you Zoomed?
I've done about 4 depositions with Zoom.
Okay, take me through that process.
So, for those depositions, what we did, when I say we, me and another lawyer, all of the exhibits that we were going to use, we exchanged those before.
Okay.
All right, and we pre-marked them.
Okay.
And it worked very well.
Where's the court reporter on that?
Court reporter, in the depositions that I've had, the court reporter has been in my office once.
Okay.
And the other 3 times, the court reporter was at our house.
Okay, when she was in your office, where was the person you were deposing? Were you deposing or were you
I was deposing.
Okay, where was the person you were deposing?
At the other attorney's office.
Okay, so it literally was everything was on.
Yes.
Before this, telephonically, I sat there and you would have the court reporter there with the witness telephonically. And what would happen then is someone would be in New Jersey. It was a trick defense attorneys used a lot where people would say, well, they're in Jersey. And you'd have to take a deposition by phone.
Right.
And then you could hear the defense attorney telling them what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you didn't know the court reporter. So you were like, hey, can you take a note? And they didn't want to get involved and they didn't have the relationship we had. Are you Zooming a lot? Or
my office, there's so many hearings on Zoom now with judges. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. How much FaceTiming will you do before this?
FaceTime
on phone. I hate FaceTiming on phones. I hate videos.
A little bit, not much.
Are you doing more now?
Probably.
Okay, you?
I am.
Okay. I can't stand any videos. I don't want people to see me. I don't want people to know it. Of course, we're doing a video podcast. I know that's hypocrisy, but we're trying to get our names out there and adopt to the new social media world. But yes, I'm not comfortable with all this Instagram.
I'm more
Snapchat.
uncomfortable with text because you can read a text and take 20 different meanings out of it. And so text.
What are you texting?
Anything you text, they may think, oh, that person's mad at me or this person is saying this. It's all subject to interpretation, and it's just you can't have communication.
Every time you text me, you send me eggplants, and everybody knows what that means. So,
I don't know.
Oh, we're not going to get into that.
I don't know what that means.
But has any other your daily life changed besides Zooming in your practice?
I do a lot of things by email. Scheduling interviews or scheduling meetings with clients is done more so on telephone now. I've limited my face-to-face interaction. And just from a practice standpoint, as Mr. Schwartz has indicated, a lot of the judges are going.
Who the hell's Mr. Schwartz? Oh, okay. I'm just making sure. Go ahead.
A lot of the judges are now going to Zoom hearings.
Yeah. Now there hasn't been a Zoom jury trial.
True.
Which would be interesting.
Which will be
because it could work.
It could work.
Well, here, this is supposed to be a sports show, but we're going to go off on this tangent. Would you, and what we're talking about, at least in federal court, I know they suspended all civil matters, and they just had the big pharmacy criminal hearing. Did you know who was defending that?
I don't know who was defending it, but I had a divorce case where one of the persons who was pleaded guilty was a part of that.
Okay, so it had to be continued.
And had to be continued because one of the defense lawyers for one of the doctors reached out to my client for purposes of trying to use him as a witness.
Yeah. And it was a big win for the defendants. But that was the first criminal trial, to my knowledge, in the federal courthouse. They've had one in Hinds County.
No, we've had several jury trials.
During the pandemic?
Yes. I bet we've had 6.
How are they sitting them?
They're sitting them like they normally do with masks.
Are people showing up?
Yes.
See, I heard it was...
Now, we've had more continued because of COVID, but we've had 6 jury trials.
Well, I mean, like, they haven't even started setting back civil matters, to my knowledge. Well, you said they have.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking
Not
about,
every county.
Not every
Just
county.
Certain counties.
Hinds County, I know, is focusing on criminal.
Right.
And I know the federal courts are focusing on criminal. Mm-hmm. If you had someone in a civil matter, would it be a factor in you trying to settle the case quicker? Would it be a factor in trying to go to a bench trial? Or are you going to try to go to...
well, with COVID, you have to tell the client it's going to take longer than it already is because of COVID. You don't know when you get a trial setting. All the stuff that's set before you has been continued, and that's probably going to go before you. I proposed to the Lieutenant Governor a plan that I hope he takes to heart. It's the Virginia plan. And basically what that is that you have a speedy court with $50,000 or less in controversy. You guarantee a trial in 8 months, very limited discovery. And it's a bench trial. And you get a trial de novo or a brand new trial if you don't like the result. You can appeal.
Kind of more of a small claims court than we have.
Yeah, but with actual court system, and that would move the criminal docket, the civil docket, that would move everything because it's the smaller cases that's clogging up.
You don't have $1 million case usually. It's
the small cases that are clogging up. If you can go 50,000 or below and move those cases 8 months, boom, the system opens.
In your mind, who would be sitting on those? Justice court judges who don't have to have?
No, I don't think justice court judges want to do it. What will happen is they'll have to appoint new judges. Actually, they'll be elected judges or appointed judges. I'm not sure, but it will be attorneys.
Interesting. Mr. Dorsey, off the top of your head, would you be for that, against it?
I would be for that because I would agree that most of the docket is clogged up with cases that the amount of controversy is not, in many instances, going to exceed over $50,000.
Yeah. I mean, most of your general personal injury and disputes.
And that's delaying criminal cases.
Correct.
And they need to be moved. Those criminal cases need to be moving. They need to get on the docket because a lot of times you let a criminal out 3 years before they get a trial. And so that's not the way the system's supposed to work.
Okay, enough legal talk. Who's winning the college football national championship?
Bama.
Alabama.
Nobody, no Clemson.
Alabama.
No Clemson?
Listen, I think Alabama's got the best quarterback in college football right
You're putting him above Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
You're putting him above, what's the guy?
The guy from Ohio State?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin Fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I don't like Big 12.
I think he's going to win the Heisman.
Who?
The quarterback from Alabama.
He might.
I agree.
I'm so glad we're doing this on the podcast. Right now your top 4 is okay. You've got Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and then Clemson's 4.
Yeah.
Who's 3? Ohio State.
And Texas A&M is 5.
Texas A&M is 5.
Texas A&M's not that good. Texas A&M's
They're
not that good.
The only team they've lost to so far is Alabama.
Okay.
And that was not a terrible game. It was a closer game.
It was a great game.
Pro Super Bowl winner right now. Who you picking? If the answer's not the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's wrong.
I don't think
Titans.
it's the Steelers.
I can't get mad at that.
The Vikings?
Tennessee Titans.
Titans.
Derrick Henry.
They're a solid team.
Tannehill.
I mean, Seattle's hard to beat.
They have no defense.
They have no defense?
The correct answer is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have the defense. You don't know what wideout's going to score, especially Juju Smith, you piece of garbage on my fantasy team. Averaged 2 points. Are you a fantasy fan?
I'm not.
It's like crack. You don't even know who wins games. You just know how your players do. And it's an off show. I'm trying to win 2 straight games. Did I just have a stroke, or did the lights go out? I think I'm having a stroke.
I think we're in La La Land here.
But it's okay. Our director, who is Life Pop, Reggie Wheaton, if you need any shooting or any footage, Reggie's the guy to call. Life Pop. Reggie sat on the light switch. It's no big deal. But anyway, so we covered that. Now let's get into something we're going to fight about. Deion Sanders there, HBCU.
Yes,
Did you
sir.
like the hire?
I do like the hire.
Okay.
I don't know if he'll win a game, but I think.
wait, stop.
But just let me finish.
Okay.
I don't know that he'll. I'm not sure if he'll win a game. I'm not sure.
He's going to win a game.
But just here's my point. What Mr. Sanders brings to the city is a vibe, excitement that has not been at this city in a long time.
Go ahead.
And that's going to benefit the city. It's going to benefit the university. It's going to benefit the state of Mississippi, and it's going to benefit HBCU football.
How much does HBCU? How many games they're playing? Are they playing a full season, or are they?
It started in January. Huh?
February.
It starts in
February.
It starts in late January, early February. As my understanding, they're playing conference only games.
So 8.
So 8, at least 8.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Give me a prediction. 8
Prediction?
games.
I think, Alcorn is being realigned in the West
Okay.
this year. So Alcorn, they will come from the West. And
I'm just talking about how many games does Deion Sanders have in the win total first year? COVID, new coaching system. Mississippi State almost just went through it. He's not going to have what?
8 games out of 8 games, he'll go 5-3.
First of all, was it a good hire?
Yes, except if he doesn't win any games, people are going to say
shows with lawyers.
No, wait a minute.
Can't get a yes or no answer.
Listen to me. If he can't coach, then they're going to be angry and he's going to be gone. So, yes, he's a great hire, brings enthusiasm, but he's yet to prove he can win.
He's got some big names coming back. He's got a couple kids from USC, a kid from USC. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens is these kids go off. Some of them get homesick, and we could be talking about, Georgia. We could be talking about New York. Some 18-year-old kids decide like they go to Oregon and they miss mama. And ain't nothing wrong with missing mama.
But
and they want to come back. Or they get out of their system or they get into it with a coach or whatever reason. Kids, the portal now, transfer portal. But you have a lot coming back. And, you're talking about one of the greatest cornerbacks who ever played the game.
The best.
Can't tackle.
The best.
Could never tackle you, cowboy. you made a business decision.
But here's what he brings to the table,
Okay.
whether he does it or not. His name, no recruit in America won't talk to him.
It's true.
Okay, so he can no, they're going to talk to him.
Top 50 are not talking to him.
I disagree with you, but he's got the opportunity to bring talent to Jackson State, and talent wins ball games. That's what wins ball games.
You got to have a coaching staff, and he hasn't named anybody except one person, to my knowledge.
Who'd he name?
He named a gentleman from Howard and FAU. He looks like he might be the offensive coordinator, but he hasn't named any positions. He's made statements that his staff will have 80 years NFL experience, which I think is the wrong way to go. Mm-hmm. I think if I was him, I'd bring in some Texas high school coaches who know, as you know, as a football guru, and as Richie knows, because Richie does have some knowledge of football. some of those high school coaches just never get the
In
opportunity
junior
to go
college.
pro.
Junior college. I mean, the reality is the whole key is recruiting. You get NFL players, and that's all NFL players. They don't know how to recruit. That's not their job.
Yeah, you're correct. Oh, you want someone who can X and O, and you want grinders.
You need some junior college coaches. You need some good high school coaches that know an area, and they're going to probably bring some players with them.
But let me play this devil's advocate. I would say it's a good hire because you got $500,000 from Phil Mickelson, and I mean we're talking about an academic. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I didn't. He gave $500,000 Jackson State. That's great.
They played Barkley,
Seth
Curry, and Peyton Manning. They have a TV golf match. Last time it was Manning, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, and Mickelson.
Correct.
Now they put Mickelson with Barkley, and they went to Mickelson's course. It's a TV match. It's kind of like old Skins game.
Okay.
And they all decided they were going to be HBCUs. And Mickelson said, I'm giving $500,000 to Jackson State off the top. And so, I mean, we're talking about all the colleges and universities are hurting. LSU's hurting. Ole Miss is hurting.
Everybody's hurting. They're losing money this year.
Because of football, because of baseball, just attendance in general. And I think academic attendance is down because people are making business decisions to go more JUCO, things like that. So, I mean, it's great there. I saw where Strahan is giving all the kids at Jackson State suits. He's got a new Kmart suits. And I think, with the Black Lives Matter and Prime coming here, is really putting attention on Jackson State. And like you said, and this is my criticism, and look, I hate this man to give him any credit. But no, the reason we're doing this show is we're trying to stay a little cutting edge. And for those who do not know, and I appreciate Mr. Dorsey coming here. It's hard to get people to come here. And I appreciate our sound engineer and Reggie. We're trying to bring new ideas to Mississippi, but we're using some of this technology in our practice. But Dion's bringing, when I go, and Brandon, you actually you represent some musical talent.
Correct.
And Brandon's a quiet entrepreneur over here. But I mean, what we talked about, and I know you travel all over the world, Richie, when you go somewhere else and you hit those big airports, they got things to do.
Yeah.
I've got an agenda. I'm going to do this. And if this doesn't work, that's fine. We're going to go to Plan B. You get that energy. That's not here in Mississippi.
True.
And I mean, it's the same thing at Ole Miss and State. I think both of them probably have the best coaches. I mean, Matt Luke was a nice guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't perfect. He was like, oh, there's Matt. He's one of us.
Yes, you're exactly right. He was a good recruiter.
Yes, but I mean, you don't need one of us.
Yeah.
You need, hey, this is what we're going to happen. This is a plan. We're going here. And I like I said, I don't know. Would you say Dion's, let's get this out of the way. Here's my issue with Dion. Can you coach if you can run a 4.2? I mean, he literally was probably the best athlete every time he stepped on the field.
He was the most dominating cornerback in all of NFL.
Night Train Lane. I've been, you got to go way back, but Night Train Lane would tackle people. But I mean, he's in the top 2 or 3. And Rod Woodson from the Steelers, Rod hit somebody. Yes. But, and I mean, if you're talking about a tall sweep, not so much.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about taking a field away, but I mean, as Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan sucking as an owner, are the freaks ever learn how to grind? Because, I mean, running a 4.2, as you know, Richie, that's just a world changer. Mm-hmm. We're talking about someone in his 40s who probably could run a 4.4. Or I think when he was with the Ravens, he was still the fastest guy on the team.
Wow.
That's not technique, that's not breaking down film.
Right.
And I wonder, when you're talking about Jackson State right now, what would you say is the average, if you're going 1 to 5 star, what would be I got a number in my head, what would be the average recruit to play what we'd call Division I AA?
2-star.
I was going to say 3. So you got some gems, some guys who probably played out of position, some guys who may have, I don't know how it is in Greene County. I know a lot of schools in the Delta don't have weight rooms still. So they don't have, and we don't have the high schools of a Texas or Alabama.
Jerry Rice wasn't even ranked.
Correct.
True.
I mean, you just don't know how they're going to work. I mean, Jerry Rice was the most gifted athlete ever. He just worked his ass off to be the best he could be.
Look, there was a kid from Alcorn.
Walter Payton was the same way. Well, same. But
Man, Walter was. I mean, his legs, and I mean,
oh my God,
stiff
ran the
legs.
stadiums every day.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're hard working, but I mean, Walter was a different breed, especially the sweetness, that stiff arm. But I see all that, and I wonder. And let's be critical as critical can be. He had a school that failed, and I wonder if it came easy for him, if he's going to relate when it's not. And because, like I said, I'm going to say he's intelligent. He comes across as intelligent. But I don't know. And like I said, it's like a beautiful woman. A beautiful woman does not understand. She's not treated like everybody else until she loses her looks. Dion has been walking through a different world than one of us have walked through since he was the best athlete in 7th grade. And, I mean, when you go to Florida State, and this isn't today's suck Florida State. Mm-hmm. This is Bobby Bowden. This is prime time, Atlanta. I don't know if he's going to be able to put in the hours. Because you don't want the best football player or basketball. You don't want Michael Jordan as a coach.
We win with assistants.
Okay,
you don't win as a head
He's
coach.
not picked them yet.
I know, but you win with assistants and athletes. That's how you win. You don't win as a head coach.
And take Steve Spurrier. Steve Spurrier thought he was going to go to the NFL and put his system in, and he said they coached too hard, they worked too hard, and I'm going to go play golf, and got ran out.
Yeah.
You got to get them grind. Now, if he recognizes I'm the PR guy, I'm the CEO, and I'm not going to be calling the offense. I need some grinders. I need to get those veterans.
Yeah, he's got to surround himself with good people. That's the only way he's successful.
That have coached college before. Mm-hmm. They need to be college coaches and that know the X's and O's of college and know how to recruit in college.
Now, he's been an analyst, and a lot of people forgot who's the guy for the 49ers, the GM. He played safety for the Buccaneers. I can see his face.
John Lynch.
Yeah.
He was an analyst. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, Dion's been an analyst for years on the NFL Network. And he's done a great job marketing himself. And you've never seen – has he ever been in any issues, any troubles? I've never –
Not that I know of.
I think there's a little issue about him getting paid as a baseball player in college because that was kind of, people weren't doing that, or he had the gold chains. I think there was a little issue on that, but I can't remember anything. And I mean, let's be honest, the perceptions out there that one of his best friends is Michael Irvin. Irvin's got like 15 kids, been arrested like 4 or 5 times for crack. That's supposedly why he got kicked off ESPN. So, I mean, just in that world, he seems to be, a redneck who likes to fish and, a country boy. With all that said, though, I wonder if he's going to be able to step back or put in those recruiting trips. Because one of the things where you hear NFL coaches says, I don't want to talk to a 17-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if he's going to be a grinder. I think you need a grinder at these positions, and I don't know how much he loves it. I don't know how much he understands it, football, meaning every NFL game he played in until probably the last 3 years, you got that guy and take away the third.
Now, he coached high school last year,
yes.
And they were mediocre. I think a Jackson team beat the
MRA beat them.
Yeah, MRA beat them. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 5-3, 6-2. I think he's gonna win with talent. Mm-hmm. I think he's got a lot of talent come in. I would love to see a grinding system. My other thing is, how long is he here?
2 years.
How long is he here?
I think he's here forever. I don't think he'll get another head coach.
Oh no! If he wins the SWAC or he gets them to the championship game, and let me go ahead and say this. Now, do you recognize yourself as a Jackson State fan?
I am.
Okay,
I am.
Comedy,
great coach.
Great person too. He was one of the greatest people ever.
Oh, I introduced myself to him at Kroger, and
he
he's so nice.
Such a good guy. In fact, I remember I went to his wife's funeral, and he actually stood up and spoke. I mean, he is just one of the kindest people and knows football.
And Jackson State did him wrong.
I agree with that.
Wrong.
I agree 100% with that.
And I hate to say that. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see Dion bring Comedy back on staff. Is he at Valley still?
No, he's not.
Okay. But yes. With that said, Jackson State has to have a plan for him to leave in 2 years.
True.
To keep the momentum going. I don't know if they go with another star. And, do you go get Terrell Owens? Do you go get Chad? Do you make it? Because Deion's bringing his own reality show.
I just don't see him getting a head coaching job at another
Oh,
school.
he's going to go back to Texas. This is my prediction. He's not going to get he's not going to get a huge job. And you and I have had this debate on other forums about Southern. Southern's opened their salary for $800,000. He'll go, in my opinion, he's going to get out of Mississippi. He's a god in Texas. He's going to go to Texas, to like San Antonio, Texas, University or Rice, or Texas Tech, somewhere where he can walk around Dallas, or he can walk around one of those schools, and he's just a different level, and he's going to do something at a mid-major. I see him going mid-major after 2 years, and if Jackson State does not have the planning or the intelligence to already know who they're going to pick and keep the momentum going, because Arizona State is kind of turned into an ex-NFL with
Herm
Edwards, Marvin Lewis, and who's that linebacker who played for the Giants and the Redskins? I can see or maybe the Eagles. Yes, maybe be a home to ex-NFL players to get their first starting. Be a great thing, but they've got to be able to transition. Okay, I'm here, Richie, so I can come back with Brandon.
Yeah.
Should Jackson State consider getting out of the SWAC and focusing on winning the national playoffs?
No. I mean, SWAC is a great tradition. I remember when Jackson State was the most dominant team in football.
But that's 1980s. Those days are gone.
No, I don't think they
Segregation. You're not going to get Walter Payton. You're not going to get Jackie Slater. Those kids, and they're not going to Ole Miss State. They're going to Alabama. Those kids are going to LSU.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Okay. But, okay.
So what do you mean go out of the SWAC? Where would they go?
I'm saying right now, and Brandon said it. Brandon said Alcorn and Valley are the two biggest games on Jackson.
No, I said
Alcorn.
Alcorn and Jackson State was the biggest.
No. I'm talking about if you're Jackson State, in my opinion, being a white male in Mississippi, the two major games, every game's big.
True.
But they want to be, now, I mean, Valley's just a shadow of itself back in the day, but Alcorn and Jackson State.
True.
And right now, you're seeing what someone with a national view, like I can recruit everywhere, or I can go here, or at least this is what we can be. That is that opinion, and it ain't a Jackson State issue. It's a Mississippi issue because we're a big, small town. And as long as we know what's going on in Jackson, or whatever's going on in Greenville, whatever's going on the coast, we're fine. We don't compete with the Florida.
So you're saying they need to go to different conference?
No, what I'm saying is I would like to see, for whatever, I've been told or I've learned, whatever, SWAC has decided back in Grambling and Southern, we're not going to go to the division, FCS. I call it Division 1AA. But they would lose money on going out on missing the Soul Bowl. And I don't think that's the case still because the financial issues are hitting Grambling and Southern. But Jackson State doesn't have, in Mississippi, we need a Division I AA FCS school going for that championship with how much natural talent we have here. And I think it'd be a great thing for Jackson. And I think we need to start competing on a national level. And we're not Jackson State's not compete. You never hear we won't win the national championship.
I think the enrollment is not that high to be in the Division One. I mean, you're going to have to get
Division I AA.
Oh, double A.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They haven't been going to the national playoffs.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Actually, they once they instituted the SWAC championship game,
yes,
then they basically waived the right to go to the playoffs. Because for many years, after the SWAC championship game or after they won the SWAC, they would go and play the playoffs.
Well,
but once they initiated the SWAC championship game, then they stopped going to the playoffs because the winner to the SWAC championship game played the MEAC in starting in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's a bowl game. Would you like to see that stay?
Yes.
And why?
I think it brings it solidifies a tradition.
Okay.
I think it's a good recruiting tool for both the MEAC and the SWAC to have that game in Atlanta. I think it just creates a good opportunity.
And my view is with North Dakota State, they own Division I AA or FCS, correct?
True.
Okay. We'll make sure because
Division two.
No,
Division one
double
AA.
A. It's called FCS. What you and I grew up as Division one AA.
Right.
Is you have the football bowl series,
Correct.
which is Division One, even though they have a playoff now. Now then you have FCS, the football championship series, which is what we call Division One AA. We don't have a quote unquote good nationally ranked Division One AA school. Because, like I said, I think some of it is we're not getting behind it because until you get to, I would actually like to see the SWAC and MEAC combine into a super conference of some sort. I don't think logistically you can do that because I think there's some dead weight there.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, some of that is these schools, and I'm talking about schools in general, like where we're from. You have Mississippi Delta, which is a junior college. You have Delta State, and you have Mississippi Valley. Now, some of that is segregation, which is not an issue anymore, and some of that is you literally, it's easier to travel. I mean, that's 90 miles. Well, 50, 60 years ago, that was a little different than now. I would like to see those schools consolidated because we're not getting any resources or return on investment in the Delta. Just look what's going on. And we have to be more efficient. And I think you'd get a bigger alumni base. I would like to see Jackson State competing more with Atlanta, competing more with New Orleans, but I don't think you're getting anything compete with Lorman. And I understand the Alcornites are jumping up and down now, but at some point we've got to have, everybody's got to be trying to improve, and I think that way you'll get the alumni base growing. I think you'll get a higher starting salary. If you start going to these schools and going to more of these schools and playing and traveling more. I mean, just like I said, you went and got Deion Sanders, who's a Florida State. Did he graduate? Or no,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if he graduated, but a Florida State guy. And they thought outside the box. Does anybody know how that was originated? Did he initiate that, or did they reach out to him?
About what?
Him being high. I want to say he initiated that.
What that being what?
Him being hired, him being a candidate. The rumor
I see. I the athletic director was on our show, and I think he reached out to Deion Sanders.
The story I heard, and I have no clue. In the media, Deion Sanders said first he wanted to be hired by Florida State, and Florida State said you had no experience. Then there were some rumors, whether they're true or not. He approached University of Southern Mississippi. And supposedly the story I heard is the chancellor met with him and said, you're amazing. You have no experience. So I don't know who reached out with whom, but the story I heard is he reached out to Jackson State. And what I'm saying is that's what we're missing in Mississippi, period. Going for the big game, hey, let's get the best. And I don't think we're doing that. And I would like to see Jackson State get more ambitious and really see what they can do. But we're running out of time. It's been an interesting holiday show. We're going to take a break, or we're going to thank you. We're going to come back with part 2, and we're going to talk about some Thanksgiving, some holidays, and we might even follow up with this. But we thank you for watching. And you can view us at, obviously, the Richie and Hazz Show on Facebook and the Richie and Hazz Show on YouTube. Brandon, we'll see you back in a few minutes.
Thank you.